This story is filled with acronyms and abbreviations like IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme. You get the point. This is a climate change related story, and it is all linked to the COP. Yep, the Conference of the Parties.
We are in the fight of our lives, and we are losing.
We have the collective capacity to transform.
Because this is the only planet where we're going to carry on your legacy.
It is a choice to continue this pattern of destructive behavior.
The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC, is an international treaty which acknowledges that man's actions, albeit global industrialization, is having a detrimental impact on the world's climate, and provided the framework for climate change negotiations with the largest polluters and those impacted by climate-related disasters which are exacerbated by climate change. The convention was adopted in 1992 during the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, with the treaty entering into force in 1994 and 196 countries ratifying it. The Conference of the Parties, or the COP, is the supreme decision-making body of the UNFCCC and is made up of representatives from all parties. In 1995, the first COP took place in Berlin and was attended by representatives from 117 countries. At this conference, the Berlin Mandate was established, and there was a consensus among the countries to take more energetic action regarding the mitigation of the greenhouse effect. At this conference, an ad hoc group on the Berlin Mandate was created. The group drafted a protocol that was later sent to COP3 and resulted in the adoption of the Kyoto Protocol. During this conference, the principle of common but differentiated responsibility amongst countries was applied so that different countries would have different responsibilities and capabilities to deal with climate change. The second conference, COP2, was held in Geneva in June 1996. It was defined that developing countries could request financial and technological assistance from the Green Climate Fund. The third conference of the parties took place in Japan in 1997.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the third session of the Conference of the Parties of Japan for the...
In this conference, the Kyoto Protocol was created. Kyoto Protocol's main objective was to set targets to contain greenhouse gas emissions. Around 141 representatives from different countries signed on to the Kyoto Protocol. On March 15th, 1999, the protocol was ratified by 55 countries, which together were responsible for about 55% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. And on February 16th, year 2000, the Kyoto Protocol signed up one of the world's largest polluters, Russia. They finally ratified the agreement.
Kyoto Protocol give a chance to Russia to use this potential, to start to do something to change economy, to save our resources for next generation.
The Kyoto Protocol was a document with muscle and might, powered by industrialized nations and supported by those of a lesser financial ilk. It said greenhouse gas emissions should be reduced for industrialized countries by 5.2%. For Japan, the reduction would be 7%, and for the European Union, it would be set at 8%. The reduction would be based on emission levels recorded in 1990. Fast forward to COP27, the milestone conference of the parties in December 2015. There, the Paris Agreement was signed. The signatories of the Paris Agreement agreed to increase the production of renewable energy, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, help poor countries with financial aid to deal with the impact of climate change, and they committed to reviewing the progress every 5 years. The Conference of the Parties is now in its 27th iteration. After 27 years of abbreviations, acronyms, agreements, protocols, and signatures, what has been achieved? How has St. Lucia and other small island developing states benefited? What will be the tangible outcomes from COP27? Follow the series as we walk you through the climate change negotiations, the transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy, the strides at reduction in greenhouse gases, the financing for climate change mitigation and adaptation measures. We will report from COP27 as it seeks to renew the solidarity between countries to deliver on the landmark Paris Agreement for people and the planet.